Suspense. From the Primeval Past by Ruskin Bond. I discovered the pool near Rajpur on a hot summer's day some 15 years ago. It was shaded by close growing sal trees and looked cool and inviting. I took off my clothes and dived in. The water was colder than I had expected. It was an icy glacial cold. The sun never touched it for long, I supposed. Striking out vigorously, I swam to the other end of the pool and pulled myself up on the rocks, shivering. But I wanted to swim, so I dived in again and did a gentle breaststroke towards the middle of the pool. Something slid between my legs, something slimy, pulpy. I could see no one, hear nothing. I swam away, but the floating, slippery thing followed me. I did not like it. Something curled around my leg, not an underwater plant, something that sucked at my foot, a long tongue licking at my calf. I struck out wildly, thrust myself away from whatever it was that sought my company, something lonely lurking in the shadows. Kicking up spray, I swam like a frightened porpoise, fleeing from some terror of the deep. Safely out of water, I looked for a warm, sunny rock and stood there looking down at the water. Nothing stirred. The surface of the pool was now calm and undisturbed. Just a few fallen leaves floating around. Not a frog, not a fish, not a water bird inside. And that in itself seemed strange, for you would have expected some sort of pond life to have been in evidence. But something lived in the pool of that, I was sure. Something very cold-blooded, colder and wetter than the water. Could it have been a corpse trapped in the weeds? I did not want to know, so I dressed and hurried away. A few days later, I left for Delhi, where I went to work in an ad agency, telling people how to beat the summer heat by drinking fizzy drinks that made you thirstier. The pool in the forest was forgotten, and it was 10 years before I visited Rajpur again. Leaving the small hotel where I was staying, I found myself walking through the old sal forest, drawn almost irresistibly towards the pool where I had not been able to finish my swim. I was not over eager to swim there again, but I was curious to know if the pool still existed. Well, it was there all right, although the surroundings had changed and a number of new houses and buildings had come up where formerly there had only been wilderness, and there was a fair amount of activity in the vicinity of the pool. A number of laborers were busy with buckets and rubber pipes, doing their best to empty the pool. They had also dammed off and diverted the little stream that fed it. Overseeing this operation was a well-dressed man in a white safari suit. I thought at first that he was an honorary forest warden, but it turned out that he was the owner of a new school that had come up nearby. "Do you live in Rajpur?" he asked. "I used to, once upon a time. Why are you draining the pool?" "It's become a hazard," he said. "Two of my boys were drowned here recently, both senior students. Of course, they weren't supposed to be swimming here without permission. The pool is off limits, but you know what boys are like. Make a rule and they feel duty bound to break it." He told me his name, Kapoor, and led me back to his house, a newly built bungalow with a wide, cool veranda. His servant brought us glasses of cold sherbet. We sat in cane chairs overlooking the pool and the forest. Across a clearing, a gravelled road led to the school buildings, newly whitewashed and glistening in the sun. Were the boys there at the same time? I asked. Yes, they were friends, and they must have been attacked by fiends, limbs twisted and broken, faces disfigured, but death was due to drowning. That was the verdict of the medical examiner. We gazed down at the shallows of the pool where a couple of men were still at work. The others have gone for their midday meal. Perhaps it would be better to leave the place alone, I said. Put a barbed wire fence around it. Keep your boys away. Thousands of years ago, this valley was an inland sea. A few small pools and streams are all that is left of it. I want to fill it in and build something there. An open air theater, maybe. We can always create an artificial pond somewhere else. Presently, only one man remained at the pool, knee deep in muddy, churned up water, and Mr. Kapoor and us both saw what happened next. Something rose out of the bottom of the pool. It looked like a giant snail, but its head was part human, its body and limbs part squid or octopus, an enormous succubus. It stood taller than the man in the pool, a creature soft and slimy, a survivor from our primeval past. With a great sucking motion, it enveloped the man completely, so that only his arms and legs could be seen thrashing about wildly and futilely. The succubus dragged him down under the water. Kapoor and I left the veranda and ran to the edge of the pool. Bubbles rose from the green scum near the surface. All was still and silent. And then, like bubble gum issuing from the mouth of a child, the mangled body of the man shot out of the water and came spinning towards us, dead and drowned and sucked dry of its fluids. Naturally, no more work was done at the pool. A labourer had slipped and fallen to his death on the rocks. That was the story that was put out. Kapoor swore me to secrecy. His school would have to close down if there were too many strange drownings and accidents in its vicinity. But he walled the place off from his property and made it practically inaccessible. The jungle's undergrowth now hides the approach. The monsoon rains came and the pool filled up again. I can tell you how to get there if you'd like to see it, but I wouldn't advise you to go for a swim.